Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Betsy.
Hello.
And I have to cough right off the bat. I'm so sorry.
That's a good mic check.
Yes, that is a good mic check, which is kind of what we're doing. But Betsy drove over from Kansas City today, so nice day to come.
Yeah, beautiful day.
We're kind of beginning to think about spring just a little bit.
We're good.
Oh, we're good. All right. We've had a little mic issue the last couple of weeks, so we think we figured it out, or Erin did, or Samantha did, or the two of you did, or somebody did, whatever.
Luck.
So,
at least for this week.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So let's talk about So Confident just briefly.
Yep.
So I have on the project for the month. And here it is. Also, we have two kit options. One that has this Liberty of London fabric in green with pink and lilac and lavender. And then I have on the other kit option, which has the tangerine background with pink and white. But I thought we should show this first.
Yes, because I think it's totally unrecognizable from the original pattern, which is the whistles pattern. I mean, if you saw it, you would have no idea.
Right, exactly. Yeah, which is the idea of the whole year.
Yes.
Taking a pattern that we have and reimagining it. And so this has these, we call them flanges, or you can call them whistles. 3 in the front, a couple in the back. I don't know which way that goes. And we just take them off and create a yoke. Cut this on the fold, but it's the same shape. Same sleeve, same collar, same. This is the longer version, which, by the way, I want to address because I read some comments on Facebook. Do you read the Facebook page?
I do read the Facebook page.
I don't. I try not to. I do sometimes. But at any rate, there was a comment about how long it was and that it seemed too long on, I think it was Alex.
Right.
Well, first of all, this is the long version, view
B, is it?
I think it's actually
Is it A? And B
which
is the shorter version.
Yes.
Right.
And we lengthened it 2 inches.
Yeah.
From even that.
For Alex and I.
Because Erin was supposed to do the photo shoot. And we lengthened sleeves and bodies and everything for Erin.
She's tall.
She's tall.
She's tall.
And she was sick that day.
Right.
And Alex happened to be in town. So Alex did it. Well, Alex is pretty much the same height. Are you about the same height? I think you are. Same shoulders, big shoulders, all that. Different shape, which is interesting because you both wore the same garment, this one, and both looked about the same in it.
It fit well, but it's...
But two totally different shaped bodies.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just here to say that there are 2 lengths in the pattern.
Yes.
This is the long length plus 2 inches, and there's a shorter length. And you can shorten it.
Yeah, but also, like, to me, it doesn't matter what the picture length is because you adjust that length to your body.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So
no matter
don't
where
forget
you
that.
are in the world, like, what is most flattering to you, that is what you want to go for. So
Right.
if that involves shortening or lengthening, like, that I think is a common thing you should do for all your garments. So they fit you correctly.
And all lengthening and shortening should be done first in any pattern before you even think about widenings and tweaking and shoulders and whatever. Speaking of height, so getting dressed this morning, I thought, well, I can wear some platforms because you'll have on your high heels. So I have on platforms and you have on flats.
Not today.
I know.
I'm wearing my
Go
Rockies,
figure. So I feel like I'm towering over you today.
Well, that's just usual for me. But they were the right color, so I just went with them.
Yeah, they're pretty fabulous.
Kind of
But you can sign up for this class this month.
Any month.
Any month.
From now.
And you can still sign up for the year. And you can order a kit.
Yes.
And
the thing about the class is if you haven't taken a class, I think this is really kind of indicative of the whole year. Because of the pattern work, you really learn how to see a pattern and change it. The now jackets that we did, those were very different from the original shirt, But you can see it in there. You can see that now jacket in there. But this one is a really good study of understanding the patterns you own and understanding how you can change them.
That's right. So I had an interesting conversation with my friend Roberta last week, which is what triggered what we're doing today. And that's just a perfect segue into what we are doing today. And she asked me how we decide if we're following ready-to-wear and runway and Pinterest and Instagram and whatever, fashion brands, how we look at something and decide what pattern we might use. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to get into the whole Liberty of London thing because of these fabrics that are on this shirt. So it's kind of a twofold thing.
Two subject day.
All right, so let's start with this one, I guess.
Yeah.
So this was the original garment that actually it was Samantha and Alex, I believe, who found this. And this is a garment by a company called Libertine or Libertine, I'm not sure. It's a Los Angeles designer. And we were all fascinated with it because of the mixture of stripes and color. And so we looked at this. You can hold that. And I don't know who it was, it doesn't really matter, decided that that was the whistles. So why is it the whistles? One of the things that I like to do is I will take the illustrations, technical illustration of a garment from the pattern or the website. These are on the website in the product. And you can take that and you can blow it up. And then you can kind of see the structure, the basic outline of a garment. So I saw that it was drop-shouldered. I looked at the collar. The collar to me was just spot on.
And the straight shape.
The straight shape, exactly. So the transitioning basically was super easy. It was all about details then. You don't have to do anything with shoulders, busts, hip widths. You know, we're looking at the outer shape, and you get that from looking, I think, at this. More so than even the photograph of the garment on somebody, when you can go back to the technical.
Yeah.
So then we decided, so then I took this and traced over it and got my colored pencils out. This is tracing paper, so, get yourself some tracing paper, some colored pencils or markers or whatever, watercolor, and begin to make some options. Now, I've gone ahead and colored this in pretty much like we ended up, but there were 5 or 6 previous looks at what the mix was going to be. Sometimes I'll just do little quick sketches of things that just a general outline and some ideas.
Well, and I think for us, when we see ready to wear that we want to emulate, it's not an exact copy.
No.
We never try to copy it exactly. It's more of the feeling. So even though we've got all the different fabrics, it's not the same colors.
Right.
It's what works for us. But again, when you look at that outer shape, that's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I pulled out some other garments, other styles, and we can look at some garments to see what we might do with it. So this is a cute little jacket.
That is cute.
I know. I can't remember. I should have written down where I got some of these pictures. But I have a file on my desktop, my computer, where if I see something, I'll grab a screenshot and just stick it in that file. And it's just called Fashion Inspiration. And I can go back years and find something. It doesn't have to be today's whatever. So what do you see in that to me is the most outstanding feature?
Well, to me, it's the neckline.
Exactly.
That
So-
is the biggest draw.
That's what I saw as well. So what pattern comes to mind for you?
I would say either the E-shrug or the E-jacket.
Well, and I thought of the opal.
Oh, that's so funny.
Well, there you go.
But because to me, that's what I thought for the front because it has a similar collar.
You're right about the E jacket. That's probably a better choice than where I went with it. So I took a look at this because of this. And then this could be cut off if you like the 2-layer, or it can be just this. You can just decide to make this. And you could make it in a couple of different fabrics. One side, you know, it has a center back seam already. You would know that from the technical. So one side could be one fabric and the other side could be another fabric.
Yep.
But you're right, it could have been the E jacket. Yeah. But that was the first trigger for both of us, was the collar. Where can I go to find that? Because I don't want to have to invent a collar like that.
No, I think that is the thing. You don't want to have to invent the strongest details.
Exactly.
Because those are also probably the trickiest details.
So this,
yes.
So you said E shrug.
Yes, that is much more the E shrug.
This is, to me, the E shrug, because of the collar. There's the technical. Or it could be the flat iron.
Yep.
I mean, maybe you already own the flat iron and you don't own the E shrug. But it's virtually the same collar. So you get something, you know, that's pretty close. Close enough.
Without really having to do much. Like,
without doing anything. This is not a pattern hack.
No, I mean, you could, if you wanted to cut it so it was straight across.
Yes.
But you don't have to. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Exactly. So then, a while back, I saw this garment somewhere. I think it was Eileen Fisher, actually.
I think it was Eileen Fisher.
And we've talked about this on Facebook Live before. And I thought, well, that is so easy and fun, breezy, summery, whatever. There was even a detail of more how the side looked, so I could see the real detail. So that brought to mind the Hudson. Now that may seem like a stretch, but when you look at the technical of the Hudson, you can see that it is basically 2 big squares. Happens to have a couple sleeves on it and a cowl, but the back and the front, they're exactly what we're looking at right there. So that was not so much of a pattern hack as a deletion.
Exactly, leaving off.
You just leave off some of the elements. And that turned out to be this.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you start to train your eye to do that, you have so many more options.
Yeah.
I mean, you can turn, you know, we've discussed the Eureka top. How many variations of the Eureka top do we have that are totally different from the top? What, 6, 7, 8? That I can think of off the top of my head. But knowing what that shape can do just changes the whole tune of everything.
You have to get past looking at the color, at the model, at the thinness of the model or whatever, and just look at the shape. It's almost like you should print it out in black and white.
Right.
And find the view. You know, usually when you're looking online, there's 5 or 6 views of it, and find the view that has mostly about the garment. Right. Not so much about the pose and all of that.
Fashion. And for the patterns that you have, like, you know, you could print off all of the technicals of the patterns that you have, put them in a book just for easy reference.
True.
So that you can have those shapes right with you.
So here's the Hudson before this. But you can see that the body is absolutely the same. So where this might take a few hours to make, this takes not so many hours.
It's great.
Yeah.
We love an easy project.
Exactly. Exactly. The other thing that I collect is just detail inspirations as well. So I love this. I love the idea of a white shirt with some patches of fabric on it that are, from what I can tell, hand sewn on badly, which is part of its charm.
Yes.
And I'm going to do this. And I was looking at all of these fabulous prints as potential. My guess is that you all have a few scraps that you can, you know, these are even like Chanel fabrics, you know, woven tweedy things with some prints. This looks like somebody's apron pocket or something like that. But anyway, it's a great way to use some some fabrics, and then the other thing that I collect is interesting color schemes, because I get stuck by thinking that, well, I'll just put on my black pants and wear whatever on top. I can wear anything on top. But the fact is that color is so strong. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal about how hard it is to find a black garment these days, which I thought was interesting. Find the little black dress. It's not out there. So at any rate, color is in. So, you know, here's a great little color scheme. That rusty color with that pink. I thought this looked like you.
I like that.
Yeah. Looks like me too, actually. Great color scheme. We even have garments that look like that, but that's aside. I was looking at this for color. So I have another file of just color inspiration. Here's an exhibit somewhere that has some Ikena-looking jackets over great colors. Colors you would never think of putting together. But then you can look beyond that and see, well, those are set against a blue background. So I could wear that with blue accessories, maybe a blue belt or a blue necklace or blue shoes or whatever. So there's more to the picture than just these garments. I'm never going to wear a long satin garment. I don't think so. But anyway.
Well, and the more you keep, like, the more you're training your eye. Like, you're basically putting yourself in color school. I watched a video on YouTube the other day from House and Garden magazine, which is the British interior magazine.
Yeah.
It was a 7-minute video by an interior designer, and he was putting together a living room. And he walked through how he did, I think it was like 8 fabrics in the living room. And he talked about his base fabric and how he chose colors from different fabrics so that they all go together. There were stripes, there were prints, I think it was like 8 fabrics in the small living room. And I thought it was such a good example of how to understand how to put color together, how to put prints together, to make it coordinate but not necessarily match.
Yes. I think one of the interior designers who I follow and does the best job of this whole mixing thing that's almost so unrelated you can't even figure out how it goes together, and that's Kit Kemp in London. So if you're interested in some I guess looks like that, check out Kit Kemp, interior designer, and you'll see a lot of photographs. Designers Guild does that as well, I think.
Yes.
But I'm an old interior designer. I'm a former. I'm an old and former interior designer. And maybe that comes a little more naturally to me because I did it just like this guy did for so many years. And sometimes I would start with a fabric, let's say this, and find the stripe, the solid, the texture, the whatever. And all of these are different materials, and even flooring and wallpaper and drapery fabric and upholstery fabric and a vase and whatever. But I may not use that, as it turns out.
Right.
That was just my starting point for color inspiration, was something else completely. Or if you're lucky enough to get flowers for your birthday or something like that, you know, a vase of flowers can be that jumping off point. Because I think everything in nature just goes together.
Right.
So take a look at landscapes and floral arrangements and gardens and whatever, and the color is amazing what's next to one another.
Well, and that's where tools like Pinterest come in. Like, you can practice this by making Pinterest boards of things that go together. The garments, the fabric, and put it together, and you've got like little libraries of inspiration. I'm going to be doing another Facebook Live down the road based on what we're talking about. But in the meantime, all of my materials that relate to this went off to Threads magazine, because the next issue will have an article that I wrote about taking, let's say, a photo of an interior or food or what was the third one? Nature sort of thing, and how you draw from that and put garments together. So there'll be photographs of ensembles of garments that have been made from pictures of something, some starting point. Well, and you know, what was it, Series 10? Was that our magazine So Confident series? Was that Series 10?
Oh, the storyboard?
Yeah, you know, we had the magazines every month.
Oh, right.
And we did a lot of that in the magazines.
Yes,
There was
those were beautiful.
A lot of pulling of inspiration from random photos. I think we did one on interiors. So that's a really good series to look at for that kind of education.
So where can they find those on our website?
Those are on, I think it's just under Series 10. If you search Series 10, they should come up.
Series 10. We didn't do any for Series 11, huh? Just Series 10.
That was only that was our only magazine.
Well, Series 10 was kind of a building year. I wouldn't call it a wardrobe year necessarily, although it turned out to be kind of that. But we took like one pattern and worked on it for 3 months.
Yes.
And then you put that together into a compendium that was just with other pictures of inspiration. Totally gorgeous.
Yeah. And it is actually kind of similar to what we were doing this year, maybe a little less intense of variation.
Right.
But it is a good example of, you know, we had the detour jacket.
Right.
3 months of the detour jacket, they're all different.
It was more, Series 10 was more fabrication differences. This year's a little more pattern work.
Yes, that's true.
Like we did the detour long, short, lined, unlined, print, sleeveless.
And there was the rayon, the wool gauze.
Yeah.
And something else I can't remember.
There was a linen with a
linen.
metallic dot on it. So yeah, it was more,
It was
you're right,
really
less pattern work,
fabric-focused.
just some minor editing.
Yeah.
This year's a little, you know, I mean, I think pattern work can be really fun. I actually enjoy that part of it. And we're not talking about the fitting part of pattern work here. We're talking about...
Nobody enjoys that.
Yeah. The nice thing is once you get your pattern to fit, and we're using patterns that don't have, I would call it, serious fitting issues. These are patterns that fit. We've seen it when people come here to So Kansas and we go out and do our other workshops. These are patterns that fit a lot of people without any or very much work. So we're not trying to refit things. It's just all about the design details and the colorations.
And it is hard to get your head wrapped around it, I think, if you don't change patterns like that. But it's a really good education to allow you to take one pattern and use it for 10 totally different garments. I mean, it's a real
One
skill.
of the things I enjoy doing, and I think it would be good that you all think about it as well, as you're changing a pattern, think about the order of construction, because that can change from the original guide sheet. For instance, this one is hemmed before the side seams because of the type of hem, the shirt tail hem, and the connection right here. And normally something's hemmed at the end.
Right.
So it's by doing the pattern work, getting your pencil on top of some paper that's tracing and moving and taping and whatever, you begin to understand the pattern more. And so your construction is kind of beginning to develop in your mind as well. What am I going to do first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, too, about the length of that shirt. Our inspiration shirt was also very long.
It's even longer.
It is even longer.
Yeah, it's even longer.
It's almost a tunic.
Yeah. I love the way this, if I'd had some striped pants, I have some striped pants, but they're threads. And I would have worn them today. But I love the striped pants with the striped top.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that we pulled this out originally, not because of the shirt, but because of this rose right here and this is stenciling, we think. So we were thinking about stenciling at the time. We were finding stenciled things. Well, then I quickly got rid of the stencil I did and just went with the garment.
Moved on. With
moved on.
Matching prints.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so when we were choosing fabrics for this garment, it was pretty obvious that we needed to look at Liberty of London for the trim.
Yeah, for the pop.
For the pop. So when you did a Liberty of London thing, last August?
In August. So last summer for So Confident, we had a really fabulous pattern called the Willow come out.
Yeah.
We've got that. And the kit for that year was this amazing Liberty of London fabric. So I put together I wouldn't wouldn't say a tutorial, but a PDF presentation, let's say that,
right.
about the history.
A research paper.
A research paper, yes. I did my graduate study that summer on Liberty. On the history of the store, because it's not just fabric, it's actually a wonderland of a store.
Where you used to work.
I used to work. I had an internship there when I was in college, and that, I mean, I'm probably here because of that internship, because of the fabric and how much I loved it and how that kind of went through my career. And I was thinking today that whenever I go to London, that is the first place I go to.
Absolutely.
I go off the plane and you're kind of like befuddled because you've been up for 24 hours and you drop your suitcases off at the hotel and then it's like, well, guess we're going to Liberty. And
That's
like
right.
You just get yourself together and you go.
When we take our textile tours to London, we always make that a stop.
First thing.
The building is made out of an old ship, materials from an old ship. And so every floor is basically a rectangle of balconies that looking down into the first floor. And the fabric one is maybe on the fourth floor or third floor or something like that. Yeah. So the fabrics are all lining the walls in this rectangular shape. And they have every Liberty of London design currently made, which is considerable.
Right. So they have two lines. They have a classics line, and that consists of fabrics. I mean, some of them are over 100 years old. They're prints that they constantly update and recolor, but they've been in the line for a long time. I recently learned that their best-selling fabric is the Betsy fabric. So
the Betsy fabric?
Oh, yeah,
is
there's
the
Betsy.
Whoa.
And she's been around since, I think it was the 1930s. I'd have to check.
Oh, interesting.
And so that comes out in the classic line every year, and to make it even better, there's a smaller version of the print called the Betsy Ann, which is both my first and middle name. So I do try to pick some up every once in a while.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. But then they also do seasonal collections, which is their art collections. And some of them, like this was, I think this was a print from the late 60s that they updated just for the seasonal collection. But then they also have their current artists work with the old prints and bring in new prints.
And we generally buy just from the collections. Now, we may have a couple of classics here and there, but for the most part, because those come and go.
Yes.
And if we don't get them, we don't get them ever. So they're always really interesting, I think. The classics are all over the board as well. They have, of course, their famous Tana lawn cotton, which feels like silk.
Yes.
There's really nothing like it.
And it's just fabulous to work with.
Yeah, it's just amazing fabric. Thus the price.
Yes.
You know, it's more money than any cotton you'll buy.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. But they also print on linen and silk.
Yes.
And velvet.
Sometimes velvet. I've seen them do knit. A couple of years ago, I was there, and they had swimsuit fabric.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I won't be seen in a swimsuit, so it's not going to affect me. But
so they do have like small, different substrates, but the Tanalon is their main.
Yeah, this is their heartbeat.
And I will say, their fabric department in the store now is much bigger than when I was there.
It is. It's even bigger than when I was first there, not that many years ago. And you can tell that it's become a big factor. I think it's probably what got them through the hardship days of shutdown, possibly, is their fabric sales. Because you can't find anything else that's like it.
No, and I think
not only in design, but feel as well, everything.
And I think I've noticed, I feel like, a bigger focus on it, both for crafting and then garment sewing, and then they also do their own products, so you can get...
Right. I noticed they've added wallpaper. That's just pretty recent. Maybe they've always done wallpaper, but they've been talking about it recently.
Yeah. I mean, I think wallpaper's been a part of their line since the early days, because it was really interiors at the beginning.
We've been getting a lot of orders recently for the willow, and I at first didn't quite know why, but it was featured this month in Threads in their pattern review section. So that's why we're seeing the orders, and it's really a great pattern. long sleeve, short sleeve, but it's coming upon the season where we need to get our willows out.
Yeah.
And because this is the perfect spring, summer, fall shirt. So that's the willow. So we have some other things to show that are either made in Liberty fabrics or trimmed in Liberty fabrics, none of which we have anymore. So don't
get your hopes
sit
up.
there and say, oh, I want that one, because you can't have it.
All you have is on the wall.
So you made your pants.
I did. So these are the Weston pants. And I wasn't sure because the fabric is really light. It is a very light cotton. So I wasn't 100% on how they would do for pants because I just never even really thought to make them in pants. I wear these all the time.
Yeah. I think, don't you think it's important, though, to use it for a looser fit pant?
Yeah, it needs to have some room in it, for sure. So I think the Westons are probably the best bet. I considered Picasso, but I think they're even a little, I don't know. I felt like the roominess of the Weston works better for the lightweight. This one, you can see I did a little ribbon instead of elastic, which I thought was
And I love the idea that you put that off center. Here's the center front seam of the pants, which all of us would just put it right in the middle where it would stick out.
Yeah, it's a funny thing.
But you put it to the side, which I thought was a really nice, just minor little detail, but great.
And here's a fun fact about these pants. I mean, I wore these yesterday, and look at how not wrinkled they are.
I know, they're not wrinkled at all.
I have to be honest, I did not press them. I picked them up this morning and threw it in. But I say that because as a lightweight cotton, you expect it to be, I think, super wrinkly. But these pants had a full workout yesterday, and they're pretty good.
So I think it's a travel fabric.
Yeah.
It's a great, if you need a summer shirt for or pants for your trip wherever.
Yeah.
This is.
And, you know, in terms of a travel fabric, because it's so light, if you have to wash it, it dries really quickly because it's lightweight. Here's a splice that we did.
And what do you have on?
The splice.
So check out the
Splice
difference
on
in the
splice.
necklines.
Yeah.
So this is the pattern neckline, although you even put the facing to the outside, which is a great detail. In fact, that's the same fabric that you have as your pants.
It is. This was made with the scraps from these pants.
Interesting. So yes, the splice has these insertions in the side, and you can do a contrasting fabric or something else. But you took that and made a squared up.
I did. So I was just kind of thinking of like a tunic style, and I had a vintage pattern that had like a tunic neck. So I just transposed that onto my neckline.
This is a very popular look right now.
And really, to do a tunic, you could lengthen it and actually have a tunic. That would be super easy.
Well, for you, it could be a dress.
It could be a dress.
Yeah.
And then I have some beautiful ribbons from Renaissance Ribbons. They have like the most gorgeous.
Yes, they do.
And I just wanted to use it for something, so I put it around there. And then what's funny is that it was a little bit long, so I had to do a third splice. I kind of went back and forth because I don't really mind it being kind of low, but it was like a weird length.
You knew you were going to be on TV.
I was going to be on
TV. You never
I
know.
I didn't want to give you a show that you were not looking for, so I put it in. But actually, I think it kind of works because
I agree.
It gets back to that.
So this is the plaid that you used, which is also a nice shirting cotton.
Yes.
It has it's not Liberty of London, but it's pretty darn good.
Nice.
And you just put it with this right here. Brilliant.
And what I would do next time, which I didn't think about until after the fact, because I don't have my technicals, is I would do the Mixit keyhole.
Oh.
But in my mind, I was like, this is but I would do the Mixit keyhole to do a shorter opening.
That's a good idea. Mixit top. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is the Zayn. And of course, this is all cut up with a seam here and a seam here and all that, but which you don't see so much in this sort of print. But again, it's really the perfect fabric. It drapes nicely for this side insertion on that. This has a keyhole. Well, no, this has an invisible zipper. It could be a keyhole in the back, which we've done many times, actually. You can make this in a knit. You can make it in a woven. But it makes a great garment.
And this part of it makes it so flattering because it draws the eye and lengthens it. We don't talk about the Zayn very often, but we probably should because it really is a nice top.
Whoops. And then here is this is your Berwick Street tunic.
Yes. So this is not a Liberty, this is a Anna Maria Horner fabric, but it's a lawn. And it is a garment that works really well with this weight of fabric. And you have some options here. Like if you didn't want a full print, you could do the skirt in a print. You could really, we have a version that is all black and then one white piece. Is that how it is? You could do that with prints and solids too.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, this is really cute, I think.
Yeah.
And it just tells us that we're getting ready for spring. Because the colors are fantastic. Yeah. Okay, and we have a couple of bells.
So the bells is the sister pattern in the bells and whistles shirt.
The printed version.
The printed version. So we showed you the whistles, which was the original of this garment, and then this is the bells.
Right. So this is a Liberty.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, so the bells, it shows up a little bit better on this one. This is obviously a striped shirting, but it has a couple of, you can contrast the band if you choose to. You can use this band as either something to button or just let it hang freely. You can eliminate it if you don't like that look.
It's got a great detail up here. I love in this version the undercollar and the stands.
Yes, and then the inside of the cuff matches that. I think this version was featured in threads with some other, I did some of these details copying Robert Graham, who's a menswear shirt designer, whose details are fantastic in the shirts. Very expensive shirts.
I do like the bells. I think that's a nicely cut shirt.
Yes.
It fits really well.
It's a little more fitted, it has darts in the back. So you all have seen this before, but it's one of my favorite shirts actually. This is Liberty of London. This is Liberty of London. This is the Liberty shirt. Wow, a lot of liberties going on here. This is the Mixit neckline, which I really like. I like the Liberty shirt a lot, but in the summertime, I don't necessarily want a stand-up collar. I want a little more open. So I transposed the Mixit neckline onto this. And that is a tutorial, actually, that is available now, on sale next week. But I think that black and white check mixes with anything, totally anything.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of scales of checks on sale this week, the larger one like this, and then a smaller one as well. Just get a little bit for your stash, put it on your cuffs. It could just be the undercollars, the stands, the inner band. It doesn't have to be the whole back of something. It just trims.
It's a nice little pop, though.
Yeah. And then this one is actually a Liberty of London fabric, but it's a linen round.
And it is a London shirt.
And it's the London shirt.
It's the Liberty of London, London.
Yes. So bold prints, this type of look is just all over the place.
Yeah, it's very in.
Yeah. But this doesn't have to be linen. It could be the cottons. It would make it great. And the nice thing about the London shirt is that they're just standard pieces, a couple fronts and a back and a couple sleeves. It's just pretty easy to make. It's super easy to fit. You don't have to really worry about the fit too much. You just make it and wear it. Yeah.
So I was thinking, a couple weeks ago we were talking about how we needed a woven shirt that was pretty easy to sew and it didn't have all the collar and stands, and I had totally forgotten about the splice. I made this yesterday. I did have it cut out, but I didn't start sewing until 1 o'clock. Yeah. And I got it done by 5. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that I didn't work very quickly, but if you want an easy woven top that pretty much looks great on everybody. I love that boat neck.
Yeah, it does look great on everybody. It's a nice balance. It sits well on the shoulders. It's not falling back and coming forward and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's generally a good neckline for most people.
Yeah, and it's just a simple couple pieces. You get the fun of the splice. You don't have to do a different fabric. No, you don't have to do it contrasted. If you just want a plain. Yeah. So. Well,
you talk about time. I had this shirt cut out. I cut it out on Saturday. I didn't time it, probably an hour to cut out and fiddle with it. And then I started in on Sunday making this. I remember it was 10:30, and I had to play tennis at 3:30, and I was done with it. Nice. That's pretty good.
That's a
and
good
I'm not a fast sewer, and I don't try to be a fast sewer. Well, right. I will admit that I did all the slip stitching, which I saved for evening television work. So I did the slip stitching and the buttons after that, but the basic shirt was done.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I just think. With the collars and the shirts, like sometimes they can be a little tedious.
Right.
But having something that you have that you can put together pretty quickly is a nice.
This is an interesting collar construction.
Yeah.
Because this edge is not sewn until you have the collar on, which is way different. I don't know why we don't do that more often, but we don't. Traditionally, you construct the collar and then sew one edge on and turn the other edge and slip stitch or whatever. But this is sewn after it's on.
That seems like a nice, easy little trick.
Yeah, super easy. And then lining this edge up is like perfect because you can see it.
Yeah, because that's always the worst part.
Exactly.
Ah,
yeah, just a little something. Plus we have an interesting technique on the shirt tail hem. We have you cut a template, a tagboard template. The video is out. It's out since last Friday, I think it was. So you can watch it. But I take some tissue paper and we get that curve pressed up without even your hands getting even close to it. Nice. So it's really fun. So this is pretty fun to make with a couple of, honestly, there's just nothing very hard about it. Hopefully I've made this part look easy in the sewing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks harder than it is, actually, but it's just fussy. It's not hard. It's just, see. Anyway.
I mean, I would maybe lengthen it because, I'm a fool for a dress and do a belt on it and wear it as like a summer shirt dress.
Yeah, you would like that. You would like that. All right, should we take questions or you want to see some fabrics?
Just a few questions.
Okay.
Mainly, there was a couple comments that if we could have some of the inspiration photos and details, maybe in a PDF form, or post the images in the comments or something, which I think is a great idea, so they can really see the details.
Okay.
They would really like that. Let's see full length and tell them what you're wearing.
Okay. Well, I'm wearing the Whistles shirt, which is the March project for So Confident, the variation in shirtings and Liberty of London fabric. Yeah.
And I've got
wait a minute, excuse me, and my Hudson pants that are the linen, viscose linen, our famous fabric that I'm sure we'll be talking about coming up here because it's one of those fabrics I use for everything.
It's such a good pink, too.
I know, it's a great pink.
It's great.
Yep.
I've got my Splice shirt on with the front variation, and then just my Picasso pants, because they go with everything. And my flat shoes.
Yep.
That was another thing, show off the shoes.
Yes.
Yep. I have on my Fly Londons, and she has on her...
These are Rothy's.
Fantastic.
They're made out of recycled plastic bottles.
Ah.
And they come in a million colors.
What's the brand again?
Rothy's, R-O-T-H-Y.
I've seen that. Yeah.
They're the driving shoes. So
like Todd's. They're like the sustainable Todd's.
Yes. And I haven't tried it, but you're supposed to be able to just throw them in the washing machine.
Oh, cool.
That's your Rothy's promotion for the day.
Can you show those Weston pants again?
Sure.
And are they lined?
They're not lined. Because the fabric is dark, I didn't line them. I would not use probably a light fabric, like a white background, personally for these, but I didn't line them.
If you were going to line them, if they were white, you could line them in a batiste or even silk organza.
Yes. You know, we have a blog post, I think it was the Valencia pants.
Yes.
And you lined it in
mesh.
Mesh.
That's right, a very lightweight mesh.
And if you go to the blog, there's a list of patterns on the right-hand side. And if you look for Valencia, that will come up somewhere in the Valencia list. But yeah.
I try not to line pants. I just don't need the extra layer, but if I need to, those are my go-to choices.
But I do recommend it for these pants because I wear them kind of constantly, and they seem to be holding up pretty well.
Yeah.
Do you sell scrap bags of your great print fabrics?
Well, the answer is no, but we have a basement full of scraps, and we have actually sorted them into colors.
So maybe
and we have toyed with the idea of this scrap bag thing, but it's just been a matter of time of really putting it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I die, there will be scraps for sale.
Clean it out.
Or to give away or whatever, you know, I don't know. We give a lot, there was a time when we gave a lot of fabrics away to organizations that needed fabrics. K-State is the beneficiary of quite a few of our fabrics, yeah. Their construction program.
Fashion construction, not like construction.
No, not dirt digging construction.
And then there was another comment on it. Betsy, if you could post a link to the video that you were talking about.
I will.
That would be another thing to
I will
post.
do that. It's a good one. Also, the House and Garden YouTube channel is amazing.
That's
beautiful.
Interesting.
Yeah, you should.
Because you don't think of
love
it.
it.
Okay, I will check that out.
They don't.
Because I don't think of House and Garden as this, you know, high-end interior, whatever. But sounds like I need to.
The British version. Yeah,
House,
it's the British version.
Of course.
It is pretty phenomenal.
All right, I'll check it out.
Did you sew the collar edges by hand or machine?
Machine.
Okay, that's all the questions.
All right. Well, we have some Liberty of London fabrics, all of which are on sale. I think we have like 11 of them, which is amazing. Let's just start here at the top. This sort of stylized floral on squares, on whatever.
So it kind of looks like a paper collage, I think. Like it looks like someone cut it out. This is from one of their new collections, and if you look closely, I don't even know that you can probably see it in the photos, but do you see the texture in the back? Mm-hmm. It is a photograph of plastic bags.
Really?
That they use to make this collage.
Interesting. So what's this called? Vita Flora?
Vita Flora.
Interesting. Well, they have a whole group of designers off-site somewhere who, plus do they still hire independent designers as well? They used to.
I think so. When I worked there, I worked in the marketing department, and the photocopier was in the fabric department, and so I'd go in and copy whatever, and I'd be like, what's everybody working on in here? And they were all together with the paintbrushes. It was fun.
Cool.
Also, they could have had a second copier.
This reminds me of your pants.
Yes.
It's not the pants, but it's awful close. It's same scale.
Yeah. And Liberty's really known for this kind of small, ditzy print scale. You'll notice that we tend to buy the larger prints, the larger designs, I think. I personally like them better for garment stuff. Not that I don't love these, but for contrasting, I think you have to have both.
So this is a blue-gray on a charcoal background with pink and kind of poppy red color.
This one I thought...
This is interesting. So what's the story on this one?
So it is a map, and you guys are going to have to get up close to see it. And I think it was just, I don't remember what...
Is it of anything?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it was an old print maybe that they had updated.
Okay.
But the detail is, like, you can see little faces of tiny people in here, and there's houses and farmland. It is a really fantastic print.
It has a little, excuse me, I just hit the camera, I'm sorry. occasionally you'll see something that has a little bit of a Chinese or Asian
The roof line.
arch,
Yeah.
roof line, whatever. So hard telling, but you know, here are the trees in France, and oh, it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's fabulous, really.
So up close, you've got all these wonderful details, but from further away, you get these amazing shapes
Yes.
that pop out.
Yeah, kind of medallions.
And the colors, really, because they're like kind of a.
You know what? I
slate
think this is. Here are little boats on that. Yeah,
You're
this
right.
does
It
have
does
a
have like an
Asian
feel
flavor to it. Yeah,
I think that's really fun.
yeah, I love this.
This
And
is,
I like it with this, actually, which is why we hung it together.
And this is a really nice. I feel like it's a good companion print for things. It's got two greens, kind of a limey green. Not really a Kelly green. It's almost like a turquoisey green in the background.
It's definitely a blue-green, and then a little peachy and off-white.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great mixer, with anything.
This is my poppy print,
Yep.
which I just thought was fantastic.
It is fantastic. And then, you know, I love fruit prints. I don't know why, I always have. But I love this with oranges and pineapples, and I don't even know what all.
And again, it almost has a collage feel, like that top.
Yeah, but look at it with this. Isn't that fun?
It's fun.
Yeah.
What are the colors in the map print? Can we answer that before we move on?
Yeah, well, the outlines of these, I guess we're calling them medallions, are a steel blue. And then the buildings are many shades of green.
There's a little bit of gold in there.
A little gold, a
And
little
then-
ochre.
Ochre, yeah. And then like a white, kind of an off-white background.
Yeah,
It's, you know, it's a cool color tone.
definitely.
But it would go really well with a lot of things, I think.
Yep.
So this guy, he was actually, we had a willow kit in this.
We did.
And this was inspired by the Bauhaus organization.
It has a very 20s feel to it.
Yeah.
So they're little people. It's almost like the wooden,
Block.
or even Scandinavian. It
Yeah.
it's kind of a crossover. Little people,
And it's
eyeballs, and
Yeah, it's another one that you really appreciate when you get up close. Because from far away, you're like, oh, it's a nice print. But up close, you really understand it.
and I love it with this,
Yes, and this one, I mixed
and I love it with this. But yeah,
the three together. This one is from their new collection, and it was a collection that was based on garden design. I can't remember the name. But I loved this because I really like, there's a gentleman named Roberto Burle Marx. He was a Brazilian landscape artist and general artist. And this is how he would do his landscape designs. They looked like these colorful shapes, like they weren't very detailed. So this I love.
well, it's interesting how he's. It's like stitching, but I'm sure it's identifying something, pathways, or I don't know, hard telling. But they even differ. Like this is a running stitch, and then this is a running stitch with a French knot or two.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And how easy would it be to add that stitching? Do a plain shirt, add a little stitching.
Well,
on
that's
those
right.
marks.
Or remember my white shirt with the patches?
Yeah,
That
cut
would
it
be
out.
fun to just cut some of those out and do them as appliques.
As with the matte fabric.
Well, as with the matte fabric, that's right. Yep. This is just a great floral, you know, it's just a classic
Like if you're looking for spring, this is where you go.
daffodils and whatever those are called, but
There's some hyacinth, tulips.
yeah,
It's spring bulbs, lily of the valley.
and fantastic yellow.
And it's funny because I don't buy a lot of yellow for myself, not for any reason, just because I don't gravitate towards it, but I love this.
Yeah, and I do like yellow fabrics. And I like it with this, even though there's not yellow in this, but the scale, which we haven't talked about very much, but back to those interior issues, that's what comes into play a lot when you're choosing the plaid, the stripe, the whatever.
Right.
You need to think scale, and that scale-wise, these really go together. As a matter of fact, all of these do, because here you have a large scale, mid-scale, small scale, and all of that works together.
And I love this one. I think that's really pretty. And you could do a splice with these two.
That's right.
Like this is
It's
the
just
splice.
tremendous detail. I mean, we don't see prints like this very often. the inner details of the texture of these medallions is unbelievable. And that's what you get with Liberty of London that you don't get with other fabrics.
I'm going to try and get a detail shot of both the blue ones. It's kind of difficult with the angle.
Yeah. We can pull it off the wall, or...
I think that'd be nice, especially with the small print.
All right.
You know, I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was about, it's an interview podcast, and she asks women how and why they dress like they do. And one of her questions was, what do you wear that makes you feel the most you? And so then I thought about that. And for me, it's less shape and garments, but I'm happiest when I have like 3 prints on. Like print on print on print on print. And it just, because I thought about it, I was like, well, how does that, what makes me feel the most me? And it is print on print.
I think that's a great point. Don't think about just the print blouse and the plain pants.
Yep.
It's the print blouse with the print detail, the cuff that you turn up, or the under collar, the whatever, and then the print pants.
Yeah, it's the layering of the color.
You know, this actually has a diagonal line to it when you really look at it. Can you see that now in the big piece? My hand is not free to. Hold on. It's the coloration.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Let me get a little closer because that kind of peach color isn't popping. There we go. Can you point it out again?
So this contrast color is in somewhat of a bias diagonal.
It's faint, but you can
I didn't see that until I looked at it from the side. It's interesting. Do you want to see this one too?
Yeah, that one has a really nice detail to
Yeah.
it that's hard to pick up at that angle.
All right.
Oh, and it's stunning.
I know, it's an amazing detail. It's like an etching. It's like etcher.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think of like mollusks. I mean, I don't think it is necessarily that, but it has that kind of vibe to it.
Okay. So we have all these Liberties on sale, and then we added some plaids to use as auxiliary colors and fabrics. We have the 2 black and whites, and then we have these 2 multicolored plaids that are great mixers.
So what is the fabric content on all
of these are cotton.
plaids?
Everything on the wall
Everybody
is
today
cotton,
is cotton.
and everything I'm holding is cotton.
And all the Liberty prints, are they all the same weight? That
All of
cotton
them.
lawn?
Yep.
They're all the Tonalon.
Okay.
These happen to be all the same shirting weight as well, but they're just slightly less silky, but they're pretty nice.
They are really nice. Yeah.
So, any more questions, or?
We do have a couple more
Okay.
questions. Can you show us a close-up of the white top with the colorful patches on it?
Sure. You know, this is pretty straightforward, but notice that one cuff has and not the other one. But it's very symmetrical,
Yep.
and yet that.
So I would probably use the bells just for that plain shirt, and then add the patches.
The other pattern that comes to mind to me is a Florence, shortened without the hitch to it. That to me is the most basic shirt pattern that we have, minus the tuck and shortened. As a matter of fact, that's what K-State uses that pattern for, is their basic shirt class.
Oh, really? I love that. The collar, for some reason, and the shoulders on that, I think are just perfect on that shirt.
Yep.
That's my go-to shirty garment.
Is the background of the spring flowers yellow or gold or halfway in between?
It's yellow.
It is yellow, rich yellow.
Yep.
And how do we send pictures to you if we don't use Instagram?
You can email them to me, and my email is Betsy, Betsy, at sewingworkshop.com. And we would love to see them, so please send me your pictures. But know that I'll probably put them on Instagram, so you should know that.
Yeah, if you don't want them posted, don't send them. Or tell us not to post them.
Yeah.
We love to see them, but if you don't want them posted, that's fine.
Yes.
You need to tell us that.
Please let us know. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they're probably going to be.
Someone said, I would love to make boxer shorts out of this fabric.
Yes, that would be a great.
That is a luxury boxer short.
Yes, yes it is. Yes, it is.
I have pajamas made out of it. That's the way to go.
You know, I need some new pajamas. So what pattern would you use?
For my pajamas, I used the West End pants and made them shorts, and then I used the gardenia top.
That's perfect. I would be inclined to do the West End pants as shorts and maybe a cottage. Something like that.
Yeah.
I might have to do that tonight. What do you think?
Now you got something to do.
You used a Eureka one time.
Oh, well,
remember?
yeah. Oh, I did that. I used the Eureka one time. That's correct. That's an even better idea. Simpler.
That's a lot of work.
No collar and stand. No buttonholes. No hand stitching. No nothing. Okay, got it. Yeah. Well, a splice would work too.
Oh yeah, splice
Actually,
would be great.
a splice and West End pants. Oh yeah. That's a great idea. You know, I always think of pajamas as an opportunity to wear things I probably, maybe colors that maybe I wouldn't wear. Like of course I love yellow, but if you don't like yellow, well, make them pajamas and, you know, you're in the dark.
You still get to enjoy it in the dark. And bonus points if you make your matching Ikena robe.
That's right, which you did.
I did.
Yeah, exactly.
How does wearing the lawn, the thinner fabric, how is it to wear? Does it keep its shape? Is it easy to sew?
It's magnificent to sew. I think it holds up really well.
It's a very stable fabric in its thinness. I mean, it doesn't bag out, it doesn't change character over time, it doesn't lose its color. It's worth the money fabric.
Yeah, and even though it has a feeling of silk, it's not all.
No, it's not slippery.
It lives like a cotton.
Yes.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a big time, cool, great fabric. Yeah.
Okay, no more questions.
All right. So, what's on sale this week?
So we've got patterns. We have the Splice, we have the Liberty, we have the London, because, you know, and
Right.
we have the Liberty Mixit Fusion tutorial.
Right.
We've put up the Liberty presentation that I did for So Confident. That is now available. It wasn't available before. And everybody on the back wall.
That's right.
I think that's it.
And check out our blog
Yes.
for a free tutorial on how to make this.
The Hudson. So when you do that, go to the blog, look for Hudson listed on the right-hand side, and when you click Hudson, there's a list of different posts, and this will be in there.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Betsy, for
Yeah.
coming over and helping me today, taking the reins. This was your idea. I think it's great. So remember to sign up for So Confident March and before and beyond, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.